conscious frame was here, a cell-born force. This is the description of Savitri. Savitri, a conscious frame. Savitri, a cell-born force. The divine Savitri, she has taken the human birth, and even in her human birth, she was conscious of her origin, of the source from which she had come, the force that is inherently there in her, cell-born, which is always there in her. The divine Savitri, who had taken the human birth, is here upon the earth to do, through the human instrumentality, the divine work, the divine Savitri's work being done by human Savitri in the mortal conditions. Even in her human birth, she was conscious, conscious of her origin, conscious of her greatness, conscious of her mission for which she had taken this birth. Swayambhu, cell-born, that is her Shakti, cell-born force. Swayambhu Shakti, which has its origin, which has its own source. It is that force which has taken here the human birth, and that human Savitri is conscious of that cell-born force. She, the divine Savitri, laid down, she has come down here, laid to bear the human load, to bear the human lot, to accept the human condition, his misery, his sorrow, his suffering, his joy, his happiness, all those aspects of humanity she has to bear in order to solve the difficulty which is in the way of human progress. Lean down to bear the human load, yet her walk, even in this human condition, her walk always kept to measure the gods, the way the gods would walk in heaven. It is in that way this human Savitri would still walk in spite of taking the human birth here. Her walk kept a measure for the gods. In that human frame, in that human form, was still present the heaven's spiritual joy. It was always there with her. But a joy, heaven's joy, that celestial joy, that original happiness, cannot endure here too long. Savitri's human birth, she has accepted the human lot, and because of that humanity, it cannot endure too long that celestial joy here. It becomes weak, it fades out, it disappears. And Savitri has to undergo to that experience, and it will bring that human joy is there, it will bring grief even to gladness. That is the state of affairs of the mortal, that even grief will invite its own grief, even gladness will be followed by that grief. Savitri had to accept that condition. When she has identified herself here with the mortal state, Savitri has identified herself with the mortal state, Therefore, she must accept the mortal condition, mortal joy, mortal grief, mortal sorrow, everything which is there in the soul of the mortal. The assigner of the pain, the Supreme who has created this pain, the God of pain, for a certain purpose in this creation. That God of pain is here not for nothing. He has a purpose, he has a function, he has a role to play here, and that assigner of pain has assigned pain to Savitri also. Savitri has to accept what has been assigned to her by this assigner, by this God of pain. Thus could she identify herself with a striving human heart. Without that pain, how can she feel the pain of the human heart? She has to feel the pain of the human heart, and therefore the God of pain also assigns pain to Savitri. What is the pain to Savitri? He is assigning there is a forced ignorance, there is a forced fate, there are all kinds of difficulties in human life, but the most crucial, the most critical, the most calamitous pain which Savitri has to bear is the pain of death. She has accepted the mortal lot. The mortal has to bear the pain of death. Savitri too must bear the pain of death. Without that, she cannot function, she cannot do her work. She must confront death in order to remove death. Man's riddle is locked. The birth of man's riddle is locked in death. If that riddle of man has to be solved, and if that riddle is locked in death, if Savitri has to solve that riddle, she must confront death and tackle this riddle of man. She must experience life's struggle, obviously. She must live in matter's house. She must live in the house of limitation, limitations imposed by matter. She must live in it. She would do that. She has to do that if she has to fulfill the mission of her birth. But while she would do that thing, while she would accept the pain, the suffering, the anguish of this world, she is one who is not going to submit to the mortality's lot. She accepts mortality's lot, but she is not going to submit to mortality's lot. She is going to accept suffering, but she is not going to submit herself to submit. That was submitting herself to these conditions, this littleness, these limitations. That was absolutely out of the question for Savitri. She would not bend beneath the yoke of death, beneath the yoke of ignorance, beneath the yoke of sorrow and pain. She would not bend. She would accept the yoke, but she would not bend. She would not get moved helplessly like a pawn on the chessboard. She is not a pawn to be displaced from one position to the other place on the chessboard in this game of this world. She would not submit. She would not get moved like a pawn, because here, even in this world, here in Savitri is a conscious frame. Here in her is a self-born force. The self-born force, that conscious force, that conscious frame would not submit itself to the conditions of mortality. It has come here to conquer those conditions. It has accepted those conditions in order to conquer death. Here was a conscious frame, a self-born force, self-born Swayambhu Shakti, born out of itself. It is that Shakti. She is born out of herself. It is that force which has taken the birth here. And the question of she submitting is out. She would not submit to anything at all. Here was a conscious frame, a self-born force.